Hey friends, Dean here with some exciting news to share. You can now buy us a coffee. That's right. You can help support independent content creators like us by becoming a member of the 3324 Green Room at buymeacoffee.com/3324. Our episodes will always be free and that will not change, but your support at buymeacoffee.com/3324 will help us continue to bring you the best in music and movie podcasting, in our humble opinion. As a Green Room supporter, you'll not only have our undying gratitude, but you'll also be able to vote on which episodes we record and receive other perks for as low as $3 per month. That's the price of a cup of coffee. There's absolutely no obligation, and nothing about the show will change. It's not going behind a paywall. Go to buymeacoffee.com/3324 for all the details. The link will be in the show notes of every episode as well. We'll see you in the Green Room. I have just 3 words to describe this episode. Prestige worldwide, baby. Stay with us.
Get ready for the 3324 podcast, where lifelong friends Dean Legiro and Eric Kuber share their love of all things music and movies. Dean has directed short films and is a music trivia buff. And Eric, trained in audio engineering, brings his extensive knowledge of music and film to the conversation as they discuss, debate, and celebrate their favorite albums, films, and much more.
Welcome, friends, to the 3324 podcast. Home base. It should be your home base for the best in music and movie podcasting. If you want to know about it, follow us and we'll edumacate you, right, Eric?
Edumacate?
Edumacate.
See?
Don't I talk good?
Perfect. Yeah, you do. And considering the episode we're going to dive into.
I word well.
Hey, listen, there is absolutely no way. I think we need to put some kind of disclaimer on this thing. I'm just going to throw it out there because there is absolutely no way we could talk about this movie without any kind of irreverent something coming out of our mouths. It's just
This will be we'll put the E on this episode.
Yeah.
Oh, we should be explicit.
Yes.
Don't go too far, but yes, I think we can.
We'll see.
It's safe to say that. So
we'll
anyway,
see. Well, I mean,
it's just quoting
on everything down here.
Is anyone going to sing Dale's song?
Why don't we get it started like this then? Everybody, hold on a second. We'll start off this way.
Fucking Catalina wine mixer.
It's the fucking Catalina wine mixer.
The fucking Catalina wine mixer.
Perfect.
There we go. We got it out of the way. It's the fucking Catalina wine mixer. Okay. Well, if you're new to us, there's a little taste, but there's a lot more. If you follow us, you'll get a notification every time a new episode comes out, and those episodes come out every Thursday. And there's close to 200 other episodes of music and movie goodness right behind Eric, behind his couch. They're all in boxes. Just show up at his house, and he'll let you browse through. If you don't want to do that on your favorite podcast provider, that list is already there too. It's there as well, and you can just use that list and pick out whichever episode you want to check out. Either way, we appreciate it. You can follow us on Instagram and or Facebook if you like. And we also upload to YouTube. We put the videos up of these episodes sometimes, or the audio versions are there as well. So we haven't even said the name of the movie. If you haven't gotten it yet, it's Step Brothers, which I think is this is a very divisive film. I think people either love this film or they hate this film.
Yeah, I don't know.
Those people are wrong.
Yeah, those people are wrong if they hate it.
My girlfriend hates it.
They should not
She's
be
like,
allowed
I hate this movie.
Who hates it?
Absolutely. My girlfriend hates it.
What?
Yeah,
I'm going to have a long conversation with her.
There you go. You go ahead, have it, because I tried.
Oh my God. What is wrong? Why?
I don't know. Like I said, some people, this kind of humor is kind of, it's very specific. It's kind of a, it has its roots in a lot of things from the past, which we'll get to. Let's get to the stats first about the film. And then we'll kind of ramp up from there. This was released in July of 2008. So that's 16 years old.
Yeah.
I can't believe it. Written by Will Ferrell and Adam McKay, but all intents and purposes, you may as well just throw that out the door, because most of this was probably improvised. This film, according to a lot of different people, a lot of different actors. So. Like we would film stuff, and then we filmed what was on the script, and then we would just go film other stuff, and that's usually what we used. It had a $65 million budget.
For the
Why?
boat.
I don't know.
The Gilded Lady was $64.5 million.
Putting the boat in the
special effects of the scrotum prosthesis.
Actually,
and the other part was the white dog crap.
Yes,
there's your special effects budget right there.
Actually, I may know why it was so much money.
Because of the stunt scrotum?
No, the stunt scrotum, and I think they did a lot of. They shot a lot of at wherever the Catalina, I guess Catalina,
yeah.
And then Adam McKay decided he didn't want to go there, but found it humorous to use the footage. So I think that because they maybe went on location and shot a lot of like aerials and stuff like that. There was something with Catalina.
65 million.
I don't know.
I don't know. But anyway, the good news is it had a $128 million box office return.
That's more than 50%. I'm good at math.
I think half that budget probably went to those schoolyard kids that beat the shit out of it. Yeah. They had to pay them really good money for that.
I don't know what it says about us, but it's always fun to watch adults beat the shit out of kids.
Like, oh, hi, Mr. Gardaki. He calls him like Mr. Mr. Gardaki. It's like you think what it's going to be. Oh, I don't want to see Chris Gardaki is down there. It's like you think it's a guy. It's like kid. Anyway,
brilliant scene. Brilliant.
So just a little backstory. This is a reteaming, and I think the seeds of this kind of thing. Kind of the second coming of Adam Sandler, right? Is Will Ferrell. We've talked about that with Adam Sandler, but the whole man-child thing. It's not a new thing. I mean, we could trace this back to Lou Costello.
Pretty much,
right?
Yeah,
Abbott was the original like man-child. He was very naive and boyish and acted childish, and gets slapped by Bud Abbott, and for just being silly and then we also saw that with Jerry Lewis, right? The same thing, kind of. That was a little bit more broader and a lot more extreme, but it was that notion of this childlike adult with the naivete and also the silliness of the way children act, right? I think it kind of went dormant for a while. I don't know
the language.
What's that?
Except for the language.
Except for the language. By the way, we've got two guests here. I'm sorry, I didn't introduce. Gerry Sullivan is here. Hey, Gerry. And Christy Cuomo's here. We were so excited to get right into this. We just fuck all the introductions. We're just going to start.
Those 200 plus episodes that Dean mentioned, these two have been on quite a few.
Yeah.
So welcome back, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have you?
Yep. We teamed them back up again. So Gerry, what were you saying about the language?
Well, Lou Costello never told his mother to go that she's horrible. You use some of the colorful language that Will Ferrell and
to get
and
on
his
his
brother.
Some of that. Yeah, a lot of it. A lot of the language in this is more for shock. Yes. Different than Goodfellas, right? Goodfellas has a lot of cursing in it, but it's used in a different way. The language in this is used in a comedic way, like and more in an expletive or kind of an adjective way, like Eric and I were talking.
Because these are suburbanites. These aren't gangsters.
Exactly.
You don't expect.
Exactly, but the way a child, but it's the way a child would use language, but an adult is using it, so they're cursing. So like in the very beginning of the movie, when we'll get into the cast, but when Mary Steenburgen's character, she's the mother of Will Ferrell, they're talking about they're driving to their new house. And he's like, I'll fuck him up, or so, like words to that effect. Like, I'll fuck him up. I mean, a kid would say, I'll beat him up, but since he's an adult, he's still talking like a child. But he's like, and she just kind of dismissed. She goes, no, don't talk like that. Like kind of
since acting like a child with adult language.
Exactly.
Since you brought that scene up, I mean, the very fact that he's sitting in the back seat like a child.
Yeah. Like, I'm not calling him dad. She's like, you're 39. I don't expect you to call him dad.
Well, this movie is not going to win any points for great parenting on one hand.
Yeah,
I mean,
on both sides.
But on both sides. I mean, here's the situation: these two get together. They're both professionals. You know, she's got a prestigious job. He's a doctor.
The family business.
Richard Jenkins. He's a doctor, and John C. Reilly is his son, and he's 40. Will Ferrell is 39, so he's like a year younger. And they meet and they fall in love, and
whirlwind romance.
Well, the first thing they do is have at it, but then again, and then the next thing you know, they're getting married. So yeah, I mean, you talk about major dysfunction in the setting of two professionals, that their lives. I mean, you got to look at their sort of where they're coming from and the things that they've been through.
Yeah,
well,
not exactly the model parents, I would say, in the sense of, you know,
definitely not. They're well, one's an enabler and one's a tolerator.
Yeah.
Right. So let's go through the cast first before we go any further. But and they're both like, and they both have so much in common that it gets them even more like, you know, Richard Jenkins, like, I have to tell you, my son is 40 and he lives with me. And she's like, mine's 39.
I shouldn't have said that.
Oh God!
I mean, you cannot come up with a more ludicrous situation, and yet this is what the movie. I mean, but it touches. I mean, but there are certain aspects to this relationship and these relationships with both of them, and it's endearing as well, right? I mean, it kind of So, you know, it does hit you on that level, but on the other hand, it's so completely dysfunctional.
Well, yeah, because there's the whole love at first sight thing between, you know, let me go through the cast first, and then we'll do that. So this way we know who we're talking about. So we've got
endearing
Will Ferrell.
was never a word that actually came to mind.
Well, when you think about it, he's got a point.
You are a very sweet human being, Eric.
At the core of what the love story is, it's very endearing. These two people found each other and they want to retire, and they have all these plans. He wants to sail around the world. So that framework is very endearing, but the reality of what happens is not so much. So you have two families. You have the Huff family and you have the Doback family. So you have Will Ferrell as Brennan Huff, the son. You got Mary Steenburgen as Nancy Huff. Then you have John C. Reilly as Dale Doback and Richard Jenkins as Robert Doback. You have Adam Scott as Derek Huff, the younger brother of, I haven't had a carb since 2004.
Oh man.
Great Catherine Hahn as Alice Huff, Derek's wife. Let's see who else we have. Those are the main, you know, there's a lot of other people, you know, Seth Rogen has a little cameo, Phil Lamar, Rob Riggle, Ken Jeong, Horatio Sands. There's a lot of cameos, but the movie really revolves around the Huff family and the Doback family. And that's pretty much everything else is kind of window dressing. So what we're getting here is a reteaming of Mary Steenburgen and Will Ferrell from Elf, right? In the same type of dynamic where he's the man-child, she's the mother, but she's not hit. In this case, in the case of Elf, you know, she's a stepmother. But I guess that teaming worked really well. That they kind of, you know, four years later after Elf, they said, you know, let's kind of get Mary back in here because she was not really known for comedies. She's more of a dramatic actress.
And it's odd. She's played his mother twice, but isn't she only like 14 years older than him or something? It's not a significant age.
Yeah. No, she's not known for she's very probably light-hearted comedies, rom-coms, things of that nature.
Yeah,
but nothing like this.
Back to the Future 3. I hated her in that.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Danson is going to kick your ass.
Anyway. You want to see one of her greatest films is Time After Time with her then husband, Malcolm McDowell. Very early role. Might have been her screen debut, right, Eric? I think that was her first film.
Yeah.
It's Time After Time. Really great. Excellent film. We should do it. It's definitely a cult classic. So they're kind of reteaming that. Adam McKay is also kind of in the Will Ferrell universe. You know, Anchorman.
Well, they were partners for a long time until it went south.
Yeah,
they were producing partners. They had
Yeah,
production
partners, writing partners. He did Anchorman. He did Talladega Nights. Wrote and directed that also. Anchorman 2. And then he kind of did some interesting stuff too. He worked on The Big Short, which is kind of a dramatic comedy.
Oh yeah.
The Great Vice with Christian Bale. I don't know if anybody saw that. About
Vice
Dick
was
Cheney.
A good movie. Yeah, it was a really good movie.
Yeah, really, just so he kind of was kind of branched out a little bit, but this is squarely, I think, a film of improv. If you look at this and you look at Anchorman, they're cut from a lot of the same cloth. Here's the framework of our story, and even Adam Scott said it in interviews. He goes, we kind of filmed what was in the script, but then we would throw that away, and then we would just film other stuff based off of it.
Very Christopher Guest-ish, the way I would imagine this went. Where it's like, yeah, we have a storyline, and you'll figure it out.
Yeah, and Gerry, what's interesting about this film is usually with these Adam Sandler man-child films, it's usually one. Like one is usually enough, right? Like you have Happy Gilmore or Billy Madison, and like one of those is enough. In this film, there's two of them.
Yes,
but it doesn't.
And they work.
Well, I think it's an interesting notion pitting one man-child against another, right? And then they end up becoming like one unit. Right?
The weird thing, I mean, sadly, I think I like this movie because I identify with both of them way too much than I should.
Do you do you identify with one more than the other, just so I get a little inside information?
More than the other? I don't know. No.
Are you more Dale? Are you more Dale Doback, or are you more?
I think I would
Brennan?
probably be more Dale, but I'm not sure. I could probably go either way.
Yeah, I think you're more Dale than Brennan.
With what struck me as odd is with Mary, she was the enabler. I could maybe not to this extent, but I could see Farrell like going down the road of just being a man-child. Mm-hmm. The other one, the father was kind of like a hard ass in some things. So it kind of surprised me. Like I would have thought something would have been stopped earlier. Even though at the end of the movie he does admit he misses the craziness of John C. Reilly. But in the beginning, it seems like I was always like, why did he let this happen? Because he there's times when he's kind of like, none of this happened. Like, what is your problem? Like, it seems like he would have.
I think it's because he's a career man. He's a doctor, right? So without a mother being there, I think John C. Reilly's character was just kind of left to his own devices, and then he would just come home and just like not give a shit. Like,
well, I think he never grew up, but what's great about it is that he owns it. He's confident in what he is. He even says it, throughout the film. It's like, it's not about money. It's not about this.
Yeah, it's a lifestyle.
Whereas Will Ferrell definitely has some issues, right? I mean, his younger brother. He was kind of traumatized because he's a singer.
Angina.
So he kind of he was very suppressed into being a man-child, whereas John C. Reilly
he
is
doesn't
more
even understand that the therapist is not his girlfriend.
Yeah.
Whereas John C. Reilly doesn't understand what's going like when they're hooking up in the bathroom.
It's so slippery.
He's like
it was Alice
happening.
I just want to pull you up and put you inside me.
I just love how she just climbs on board and and she's doing all the work. And that, oh my God.
She's actually she's really good at that. Like it's a strength of hers. Like she's
her sexuality is
she's fantastic. Literally, and I love her in every movie.
And her fearlessness. You when you do a film like this, and this is what Adam Scott said. He goes, I didn't really know a lot about improv until I worked with Will Ferrell, Catherine Hahn, and John C. Reilly. He's like, I kind of came in not steeped in that world, but when you have people like that, like Catherine Hahn, who is just like a fearless performer,
sweaty balls.
She doesn't give a shit because if it's right for what's going on, she's going to do it.
And she was brilliant.
She had like the salad, and she wrote the message.
Let's what was it? Let's fuck now or something.
Like right now.
She uses her wedding ring
And
Yeah.
the wedding as the O.
Yeah, for the O.
Which I was like, that's brilliant.
She's like, and then when she meets him in the bathroom, she's, this is our second date. Like date, like
Our anniversary, right?
it's our anniversary. It's our second date.
And Derek doesn't understand. He's like when they're crying at the table, when Will Ferrell's wailing, and then John C. Reilly's crying, and he's like, "Why are you like?" Adam Scott's like eating. He's like, "Why are you comforting him?" Like, or he's yelling at her that they have to go because they have the pay-per-view. When she's like, "I'm saying goodbye."
20 minutes.
Stay cooking 20 minutes. I'm saying goodbye to Dale. But Eric, to go back to what you were saying about the relationship with Richard Jenkins, Robert, and Dale is, and we're not giving anything away, but let's not forget that he, to some extent,
Spoiler alert.
was spoiler. If you haven't seen the movie, turn it off now. He was just like them. I mean, he had aspirations.
Yes,
to be a dinosaur. And and just honestly,
you're 17.
And when he's telling the story to Dale and Brennan, and Dale's like, that doesn't even make sense. Like you could never
even them or even they are like, what? It seems to be more bizarre.
John C. Reilly's like, but you're human.
But you could never be a dinosaur.
And Will Ferrell's like, I don't see the point. I don't see the point in this.
My father said, grow up. Just stop. Put kid things aside. That's not what really said, but
And a funny thing, Richard Jenkins made that whole thing up.
Yeah, that was a whole improv.
Yeah.
Adam McKay grabbed Richard Jenkins and he said, go over to Will and John, and he goes and tell them that you used to be a dinosaur when you were a kid. And Richard Jenkins is like, what do you mean? He goes, just go over there and tell them that when you were a kid you wanted to be a dinosaur. And Richard Jenkins didn't get it. He didn't understand this. He goes, I don't know. So he goes, I went over there. I said, I'll just do it. So he did it and walked back, and he goes, I did it, but you're not going to use it. And Adam McKay was like,
absolutely makes
oh, yes, we are.
So much sense. That when you watch that scene, it's like all of a sudden he starts telling him all this. Just
he's brilliant.
He is so good in this movie.
Was kicking them out of the house. He was all about a boat, all this stuff. And now he's doing this. It just came out of nowhere. And so I totally see that. I mean, it's
he's like, I see a drum set on that stage, and I see a drummer, and I see a microphone, and I see a singer. And he's like, Prestige International, and Prestige Worldwide. And it's like, I don't even know. He's like, he's almost like, I can't even believe I'm saying it. He's like, Prestige Worldwide. That's it.
Yeah.
What is Will Ferrell's like? I think I'm just gonna go. I'm gonna go apply for who has a good package?
Enterprise Rent-A-Car.
Enterprise Rent-A-Car. They have a really good. Employee.
They have a really good business model, and he's trying though. Will Ferrell. I like his arc though, because he, like I said, I mean, he was. I don't think that he would have liked to have been where he is. Even in the beginning, he's just kind of like wearing it on his face, like more than John C. Reilly. He just doesn't give a shit.
From PetSmart.
Yeah,
he got laid off. You wouldn't know the difference.
He actually, I mean, he's got a chip on his shoulder. He's got the attitude, but he definitely has something going on internally, right? He's, whatever. Whereas Reilly is just like, he doesn't give a fuck. He's just,
I'll give you a roundhouse.
But he gets that rise out of Ferrell, and when they go at it, man, it's oh my god.
Their relationship starts off pretty rocky. They're not. They're very suspicious of each other, and there's that great dinner scene when they're eating like the nuggets or the chicken, mozzarella sticks or whatever. They're kind of, it's almost like a kind of a old west like face off.
I know they're like eyeballing each other.
Yeah, who's the tough guy, and then the great scene when they go to bed. Right?
Yeah.
He's like, as soon as you close your eyes, I'm going to punch your face.
Your mom is hot.
He goes, well, you better sleep on your, what did he say? Something like, you better not sleep on your side, because I'm going to put a rat trap in between your legs. You can tell they're totally just making this stuff up. Like, and that's the beauty of it is, and that's what people don't realize with these movies. It's very easy to dismiss these movies as sophomoric and kiddie and all that kind of stuff. And you can say that that's what they are, but it takes a level of skill to be able to improv in a way that is really good.
Absolutely.
And advances. It fits with the story. It's not just like wild shit, although within the conversation it's wild. But these guys are professionals, and there's parts to rein it in or let the other actor have the scene, and it's not a battle to see who could do it. It's when there's those scenes, they go at it like in the bed when they're just because you could tell Will Ferrell that the one part where he's like, I'm gonna get a pillowcase, and then he like stops, like it's almost like he's thinking of like goes, I'm gonna get a pillowcase. I'm going to fill it with soap and hit you with, like, you could tell he was trying to think of something.
Yeah.
And they used it. He goes, and I'm going to fill it with bars of soap and hit you with it.
But what's funny is like later.
Too.
What's that, Jerry? I'm sorry, Jerry. Go ahead, Jerry.
I was just saying, that's how, I mean, maybe not the violence part, but that's how a kid would think.
Yeah.
You're trying to just come up with, what's the worst thing I can do for you? I'm just going to make it.
How are you going to one up the other guy? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But what's funny though is like later on you see Will Ferrell, how they do those little quick cuts, and like all these shows when you could tell they're improvising, they're coming up with this stuff on the fly, but you could see the cuts, like like that weird quick thing. Whereas like most of the movie is like that, and it's not happening. They're just making the shit up as they go.
Yeah, they have to cut away because someone's probably started laughing.
Right. Yeah.
We have to cut this line off like right here abruptly because
But to Dean's point, that like you talk about the professionalism, you talk about the skill, you talk about the many things that all of these sort of reoccurring players have done together. Adam Scott and Katherine Hahn in Parks and Rec. I thought they were absolutely great in that show.
Awesome.
Like Adam, he was like my favorite character when him and Rob Lowe came on the scene. Like that show completely took off, and to this day, I still say it's just as good as The Office, because I can watch that and with the and it's just, and a lot of that again that there's that improv and the players. It's and we need movies like this. Every now and again you need something like, and it's a shame that we're really not getting this kind of stuff anymore. Well, unfortunately,
when I was watching it, I actually thought about that. I'm like, I don't know if they'd make this movie today. I mean, one of the best scenes.
The closest one that came was that one with Jennifer Lawrence that was just out. That was kind of like a return to the raunchy.
Yeah, but it's not like this. I mean, they're when Derek's trying to sell a house and Will Ferrell's mowing the lawn in a Nazi outfit. Hi, neighbors. And then you have John C. Reilly putting out the garbage in a KKK. And he's like, everyone recycles here.
Everyone recycles.
Like I don't. Unfortunately, in the climate we live in, like, and I think comedy is where you can allow it. It's not going to go.
Yeah, and it's and that's the whole point. The point of that scene, and then the other scene when he's pretending to be dead when they walk in the house. Right? And he's like laying on the floor, like
dead people.
Even Derek's like, good one, guys.
I'm actually surprised it wasn't the black couple with John C. Reilly when he was dressed as the Klansman. That would have been like, whoa. I mean, you know what I mean? Like that would, they kind of switched it out. I wonder if they thought they were going too far.
Maybe. I mean, Adam Scott was enough with the black couple where he's like,
your bros can come over, your homies.
Yeah. He's like, you just say friends.
Can you just say it's a nice place or whatever,
This is how I talk.
But to your point, Dean, like the movie with Jennifer Lawrence, look how much of a big deal they built it up. What
was it? No Hard Feelings or something like that?
Yeah, No Hard Feelings. It was good. It was okay, but
okay.
But they went out of their way to promote it as such, though, because she was defending it, and that's a shame. When you feel like you have to do that in today's day, it's like it's unfortunate, but it is what it is.
It is, but which is these guys go from enemies to allies in a pretty quick fashion. They realize how much more they have in common, and that kind of like the kindred spirits. It's like, once they realize that there's someone else out there, almost like a like a bromance, right? They kind of all of a sudden can we make bunk beds because we'll have so much more room for activities? And Rich Young goes, you guys have our interviews tomorrow. You got to get your 8 hours.
In their tuxedos.
Yeah, and then you hear like the fucking power drills and the fucking hammers, and he's like, "Don't use the
power tools." No.
But I don't know who said it earlier. I don't know if it was Jerry or Eric, but it makes sense that they go from enemies to friends because they're like 9-year-old boys, and that's what happens when if you think about children. And even when they're having dinner and John C. Reilly sings that song, "Get Up on It," and then Will Ferrell's like, "Oh, that's cute. Like I remember when I had my first beer." And then John C. Reilly's like, "That's so funny. I fell off my dinosaur," which I wonder if that's where the Richard Jenkins thing came from, the inspiration for, because like, why would a dinosaur be mentioned? But you watch this relationship with the two of them, and that's why it makes sense that they go so quickly from being enemies to best friends to enemies again, because that's what little boys are like. Like just, they're just
like, I'm Dale, but you call me Dragon.
Yeah.
Well,
I love
you call me ironic because Will Ferrell would use that in Starsky and Hutch, right? He would be he was the dragon in that movie.
And then Will Ferrell's like, "Well, you can call me Nighthawk." Like he had to make something up. Like he had to make something up to like combat it. But it's funny because at the very end,
he calls him Dragon.
At the Catalina wine mixer when John C. Reilly goes behind the stage, he goes, "You got it, Dragon," or do it, Dragon. Yeah. Like he calls back to that nickname because they don't really use it. They never use it after that. But at the very end,
that's where. Go ahead, Jerry.
No, that's the only other time he acknowledges that John C. Reilly is Dragon.
Dragon.
Well, see, that's what I meant by like when this movie it gets in. That's the endearing part that comes in. It's like. They become buddies. They have a lot in common. Of course they're going to work together. Of course they're going to do stuff together. Going forward. My favorite thing is the treehouse and the Hustler collection.
Yeah, the treehouse scene.
And they're just like, don't crimp that. It's a collector's item. It's like.
What is
it's like
it's like masturbating in a
time machine.
It's like what? And we get to see and just before that, we got introduced to like the douchery of Jarek with the whole Sweet Child of Mine scene when they're driving in the car and singing. And he's such an a-hole, like everyone's singing, and then when Catherine Hahn, you're flat, you're ruining it.
You're flat, and she just keeps going. Just sticking to
like $1,200 worth of lessons.
Because you know what gets his dick hard? Helping his friends.
It's just like you immediately they immediately use one scene to tell you like he's got the Bluetooth ear, in his ear, which everyone used to have back in the day, like those Jabras, and it told you everything you needed to know about him. How just like
he's away with the cubes,
lack of self-awareness.
The cubes,
yeah. So then he goes up to the.
And those kids, man, you just want to, you feel like Will Ferrell. You want to just like sock that kid right in the face when he's, oh my God, the smugness of, when he's singing the song and oh my God, it's just so cringy,
You take it. This is all you. Okay, go. You got it. It's like, so cringy. But then when he goes up to the treehouse, he's like, you want to hit me, don't you? You want to punch me right in my face, don't you? You really do, but you won't.
And they do.
He like fell right off the ladder. Like they showed him like falling like right down.
He's like, Mom.
Yeah, he's like crying.
Yeah.
So it goes to show you that Derek has his own set of issues as well. Like there's not one well-adjusted person really in the film, really. None of them, even Alice, the wife, none of she's dissatisfied. Everybody's got like some kind of thing, but they make this little family unit,
Yeah.
And and then with the, I don't understand it, but what was with the, like in the beginning there was a blind guy with the dog.
He wanted to come over
And
and
the
touch
dog
her
was like
face.
uncontrollable. Like the dog was like uncontrollable. Like he couldn't control the dog. But then later on in the scene when
Brennan,
Dale thought he killed Brennan,
Yeah, he wakes up with them.
and then Dale gets
she's
buried.
the CSI.
And he comes out
She's the CSI.
and Will Ferrell's like, zombie attack, it's a zombie. But then
The dog. Yeah, they see the dog
they're
lying
sleeping on the lawn. They wake up the next morning, the dog is like laying with them. It's like, I don't what was
I think the dog has finally succumbed to their
I think it's one of those movies where everything doesn't need to make sense. There probably was other scenes and they just left it.
Yeah,
Just,
it was,
you know, it's
or it
just,
was had
you
to be
know,
some type of
what-
It's a very Adam
Interesting.
Sandler thing.
yes.
Just random stuff that pops in.
Oh,
Absolutely.
like the penguin?
They definitely took a page from that of just like the
Oh, I see you,
randomness
penguin.
of characters. What's that?
I see you, penguin.
To Dean's point about the family unit, though, like just going back real quick to Mary Steenburgen, and she barely acknowledges Adam Scott, though, if you notice. Like, she doesn't really, you don't see her as like a mother to him, right? She just barely talks to him. Like, you don't see that, like, that dynamic happening, maybe, because he's just so successful.
Or because he's a
with
dick.
Ferrell.
But the
With
father
Ferrell, but
loves
that
him.
could be, but it's just like she just doesn't acknowledge him at all as her son.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's like,
Well,
like not
he's
even
telling a story and then he forgets what the story is, the cube's story. And he goes, "Oh, I got so many." And she goes, "Yeah, you do, Derek." Like, she gives him a little bit, but she probably, he doesn't need as much as
No, obviously, but that's
she
the
does
thing.
comments on his accolades. And I maybe, I don't know.
I mean, she doesn't have to worry about him, obviously, but it just seems like
no, she does have to
that. That's the rub, right? I mean, that's the whole like.
So there's a
whole weird, twist to it all. But
there's this. I think it's the drum. The second drum scene when a big thing is made about don't touch the drum set, and there's this music that plays like whenever Will Ferrell looks at it, like like this operatic thing for some reason. So then he finally goes in and plays the drums, and he chips the drumstick, and Dale comes home, and then they have like this drag out fight. Right after he puts his nuts on the drum set, and he gets like thrown through the wall, and then or it might have even before. Actually, it was before that. And then
they throw him down the stairs. They
roll down the stairs. Right. There's two sleepwalking scenes in this film, right? Because all of a sudden it's revealed that both of these guys sleepwalk, and they're like walking around and just like trashing the place, right? But
a raccoon must have got it.
Is this your purse?
Yeah, it's like, wait, look in the oven.
Yeah.
All the pillows are in the oven. But the second one was during Christmas, right? And they're coming in and they're throwing like the presents on the bed. And then Will Ferrell brings the fucking tree in, and Richard Jenkins, he's like, I'm waking them up. Right? And,
Yeah.
and Mary
No,
Steenburgen's
that's dangerous.
Like, no, that's the last thing you should do. He's like, I don't give a shit. I'm waking
This
them
is
up.
one of my
That's a
favorite
black
scenes, by the
tail.
way.
They beat the shit out of Richard Jenkins. They
They
fucking
throw him down the steps.
drag him out of the room, and they're carrying him down the hallway, and they bring
With
him into
the whole cans on.
they're pounding on him with the whole cans, and they bring him like into their bedroom. Then they throw him down the stairs.
Such a great scene.
The same way that they went down the stairs. That's why I thought it was kind of a funny parallel. Is he hit the stairs just as hard and hit that wall at the bottom?
Richard Jenkins, what a trooper in this film.
Yeah.
No
What
doubt.
an absolute true. Like, I love him in this movie.
But he's got the I don't give a shit attitude. It's not even a slow burn. He's like, I don't even give a fuck. Like,
Why does he go to the Chili's?
I'm going
He's
to
like,
Cheesecake
I'm
Factory.
going to Cheesecake.
She's like, you
Going to Cheesecake
comes-
Factory, I get a drink.
he comes
He's
home
already
and she's like, "You smell
out
like
of the bag.
scotch and cheesecake." He goes, "This is the happiest I've been in months."
Yeah, or when he's talking to Adam Scott and she says something. He's like, change the record. He's like, change the record. She's like, what do you say? How could you say that to me?
Don't talk to me like that in front of my son.
He gives Adam Scott the attention
That he doesn't get.
the mother wasn't getting.
Yeah.
Or the mother wasn't given to him.
Yeah.
What's
every story and
what's also funny is at the I think at the Catalina wine mixer, Adam Scott says, You just did this to get mom and dad back together. Like, he actually refers to him as dad. Like, he's like, you only did this to get mom and dad back together.
Yeah. Yeah,
Interesting.
and then Richard Jenkins says that too. He goes, I think he did this to get us back together. He says that as well.
Well, he did.
Yeah.
Brennan.
Yeah. And go ahead. Prestige Worldwide. While we're waiting.
Are you frozen?
No, I'm reading.
No.
I'm reading some of my notes. We actually hit a lot. I mean, just the wailing at the dinner when Will Ferrell when he just starts going the wailing at dinner
and they start crying.
Yeah, and then John C. Reilly.
And they're all crying. And then they take the picture. He takes the picture of them, and they're all.
And he's smiling. Richard
crying.
Jenkins is smiling, and they're all like fucking crying and.
Like, because he's just like Mr. And then when Will Ferrell meets him for the first time, he keeps calling Mr. Doback, and he's like, you don't have to call me Mr. Doback. He's like, okay, Doback.
Oh, when
he calls him Doback, like, takes away the Mr.
When he says
he just wants to be with the mom.
Yeah.
Like, he's got no. I mean, and as you should. The kids are 39 and 40. Like, he just wants to retire and spend his life with the woman that he wanted to put his head between her breasts when he saw her.
I'm so lost. This never happens.
I mean, this was absolutely a means to an end for that character, right? Because then Derek, Adam Scott's character, is like, listen, I could sell this house for 30% above.
Yeah, all of a sudden he's a realtor.
He's like, oh, let's do, and then, but Mary Steenburgen, well, what about the kids? Like, well, they're gonna have to move out. It's like, so in a lot of ways, he is a realist about the expectations of, listen, they're adults. Mm-hmm. They need to move out.
39 and 40.
Which leads to the great scene when they go to the job interview with the tuxes on.
With Pan?
Pan?
Are you saying Pan? Pan.
Is it P-A-N-M?
Who's that behind you? I think I might be able to help with this Pan thing.
We're going to go fuck some shit up.
I'll tell you, these movies, you have to let all the expectations of reality go, and that's how you're going to enjoy it. Otherwise, you're not going to enjoy it. If you're looking for a movie to slice apart, then this isn't going to work for you.
They wouldn't have gotten that far in the interview in a real world. Showing up together in tuxes would not have gotten them any interview.
For a job where you're cleaning the toilets.
When I showed up in a tux, I did not get the job. So.
But it almost did work, because the next interview they go on is with Seth Rogen. He's like, "Oh, I get the whole tux thing. It's kind of flipping it on its head, and you guys are looking for people I'd like to kind of hang out with and cool, and you guys seem cool."
Until the ketchup and
then
onion
after
fart.
he left out the minute-long fart, he goes, "Well, now I'm kind of rethinking the whole tux thing."
I can taste it. What was it? Ketchup and onion? Was it ketchup and onion? He goes, I can taste it.
Yeah.
And again, improv. Absolutely. I think right then and there. Yep.
I had read that the kit, the drum kit at the Catalina wine mixer is actually John C. Reilly's, and that Will Ferrell did do all the singing in this film.
Yeah, and he played the drums. Yeah. John C. Reilly did play the drums too.
So they do
Will
have
Ferrell's no slouch on drums either.
No, he's good.
And I'm surprised that he didn't I was expecting to see that, but he was just kind of just fucking around.
Yeah, they went the other way with it, that he couldn't.
Absolutely.
Couldn't even play it all and couldn't do anything. And then, of course, at the Catalina Wine Mixer, where else would you see a Billy Joel cover band, but only Billy Joel from the 80s?
From the 80s. Horatio Sands.
And then he tells them all.
Like,
we didn't start the fire.
The name of the band's Uptown Girl. They had the girl dressed like Christy Brinkley from the video, just standing there. She's just stands next to him, and he,
it's no, dude, I told you, this is just
80s Joel. That's all we do.
80s Joel. That's all we do. That's all.
And she's a stranger.
Yeah, anything off the stranger.
And then the guy that works for Adam Scott, he's like, pow, pow, pow.
That's Rob Riggle. He does a lot of improv there. There's a lot of different versions of the Catalina wine mixer scene. When he asks to get it, he goes, I'm snapping necks and cashing checks, and I'm turning and burning, and I want it. Like that whole scene with Rob Riggle is a lot longer. They just go through
Mm.
There's on YouTube, there's an extended thing of them just going through all different types of scenarios. That scene is like 5 minutes long until Adam Scott walks in, and then the scene like picks up in the movie.
With him telling
like,
Will Ferrell that I just want to punch you in the face. It's just something about your face.
I just want to punch you.
You did a really good job, but there's just something about your face that I want to punch you.
I just want to punch you in your face.
He's like, I need to rent 59 choppers to make my nut. If you're gonna mess with my nut,
you busted my nut.
Oh god, it's just like that whole bro culture, like with the high fives and like that Derek is in, like because he still has like the friends, right? Because when during the Catalina wine mixer, when John C. Reilly goes up to the drums and he's playing by himself,
and they start yelling Mangina. Yeah,
has Mangina. You like that same thing, like reliving, and I think that's where Will Ferrell's character kind of overcomes that, right? Because he's hearing that, and they had shown flashbacks of when he was a kid, but it was Will Ferrell playing himself as a kid. And Adam Scott playing himself as a kid, you know.
Yeah, they just gave him like a ponytail or a mullet. I don't know what it was supposed to be.
But having that flashback was like, then he decides to go up and sing because all this big thing was made about him singing. He's got a great voice.
But even when Alice is telling the story, she's like, and you know, some of the meaner parents chimed in. She goes, I might have chimed in a little bit too for a little, you know.
Well, the thing I don't understand is like this whole mixer thing. Why is a helicopter rental agency running the show? Like, wouldn't that just be a hired thing?
Why would you even put that question out there?
No, the wine mixer is to get all the clients to come so they can rent it, so they can get the contracts to lease the helicopter. So they were hosting it.
You're putting way too much thought and logic into this, Eric.
But that's my point. Is like there is no logic to it. And they hired John C. Reilly as the caterer to this thing. So
Brennan did.
Well, Brennan did because he was in charge of it. He was put in charge of it.
He was trying to get the
Adam Scott, though.
But he was trying to get the family back together. I do believe that.
Well, that's not what he said, though. He said,
the company is a helicopter rental thing. Why are they running? Why are there like other? Yeah, why isn't like a prestigious catering company running the show, or you know?
Well, that's because Brennan. He's like, well, you guys had a lot of.
Wouldn't you like be hiring the helicopter agency to take the guests here and there? Like, why are they in charge of this thing? That's what I don't get.
Well, because he's 39 years old.
You're missing the point that the helicopter company is hosting the wine mixer
right now.
What's that? Yeah, he wants to know why. So. The helicopter company.
I don't care, but I'm just saying it. Like it just doesn't. You know.
You know why, Eric? Because when Will Ferrell sings, it's a combination of Fergie and Jesus.
And he's saying Bonnie Raitt too. He's saying, "Give him something to talk about."
That's right.
That's right. He did.
Give him something to talk about.
You're not kidding.
Oh man. There's, we're literally jumping around this movie because there's so many different things that fire off different other things. That's what this movie is. This movie is thin on plot, although there is a plot. Again, it's like the the Wedding Singer or Happy Gilmore or Billy Madison. It's a vehicle for these comedians to give us material.
Mm-hmm.
It's basic framework of a film.
They don't grow up.
What's that?
It's not like they grow up and change.
No, they sold. Dale sold something because he had to pay for something.
He sold his night vision glasses.
They still end up being more excited that the boat is in a tree.
Yeah,
and Farrell still says, it's okay that it's not movie quality.
He's got the plastic one.
It's not movie quality, but
it's okay. That's not movie quality.
Grow up at all.
Well, and I think that's the whole point of it, right? And that was kind of also the point of Billy Madison is that child, that youthful naivete, right? And in this case, the two main characters lose it, right? They become respectful and they get a job and they're living on their own. And, John C. Reilly's reading a book and then he goes to bed at like 8:45. Like they have responsible. Oh, but he's like, I had to wake up at 10 o'clock this morning for the
Or you're
catering
still
job.
like doing karate in the garage and chopping.
Like, no, I don't do that. I started taking baby aspirin now because it's really important.
He's like, well, it's very important. Yeah, it's like,
his was so like Will Ferrell's transformation was so stilted though, because when he was talking to his mother, he's like, oh, we should. He's like shaking her hand, and she's like looking at like what? He's like, well, we should do this more often. We should go get something to eat, or I like Outback. I really
when Will Ferrell is in the therapist's office and is like, how do I be an adult?
Yeah.
What do I do if the weather is inclement? I don't know what to do.
Well, how about you start off with I love you.
Yeah.
She's like,
yeah, you like that. Yeah, okay, we could try that.
Yeah, when Derek finally like all these people have like revelations during the song, Time to Say Goodbye. The centaur, like with Alice, her fantasy is like being like this savage woman, and John C. Reilly's like the centaur or the minotaur, right? And they're
Derek
like gibberish.
Derek and the father are the only two that really kind of grow up, because like when Derek starts to give starts telling, when I wrap my lips around the intoxication thing and it blew 0.79.
Oh, yeah.
And Polly goes, Derek. They're the only two that really change. Everyone else kind of either stay there. I think the mom actually regresses, because when the therapist is there,
yeah,
and she's like egging on, she's like, yeah. I think you're just in denial or whatever.
Yeah, she's like, you're a textbook enabler.
Like, he goes the backwards way.
Yeah, you're a textbook enabler. Oh, you're going to be a tough one. But I think
don't let her go. She's a keeper.
But I think what the point they're trying to make, especially with that turn, is these guys become respectable, and most films probably would have ended there, and everybody gets back together. But then there's the dinosaur scene where it's like, don't lose that. I lost that, right? I became a doctor, and he's like, I thought I was going to go back. I'll be a doctor for a little while, and then I'll go back to it, because I never
to being a dinosaur.
Yeah, and he's like, but the thing, the brilliance of that improv is like, he's like, I lost it. He goes, and I can't get it back. He goes, I don't know how to get, I can't get it back. And that's what he said. He's like, as annoying, as fucking annoying as you were, I hate to look at your soul being crushed. You're not annoying to me, but there's a cost to that. And he realizes that the cost is that innocence, or that, like Brent, like Dale said, he's like, it's a lifestyle. But it really was something to that. So I think they end up getting the best of both worlds. Is they did grow up and understand what it means to be an adult and how to function, but don't lose that. Exactly. Don't lose that childlike innocence, and especially when it was the father that put the boat up into the treehouse. So he
finally came to his senses.
He's kind of recapturing a little bit of that too, that he did that for them. And he was so happy when they're, and then the therapist is like, I got to say, he looks good in that hat though. He knows how to rock that pirate hat.
And that's, if there's going to be a point to the film, that's it, is don't lose your inner child. I mean, don't, obviously you need balance, and this seems we need some moderation in our lives, but a lot of us grow up and you become a doctor, or you become whatever successful occupation you choose, and you kind of just give up on your dreams of being a dinosaur or boats and hoes.
Well, you don't. It's not even just becoming. It's just even thinking about it.
Yeah,
and just even giving it a thought as your day.
Because it's almost like we're told like, grow up. How often were you told as a kid? Well, grow up already. Grow up. I think that's what this movie
think
does.
About these things, right? Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
This movie is like, you grow up, but you don't have to forget be a kid too. Like it, and it's important. And I think even now we forget. We take a lot of things way too serious, and we tend to forget to be maybe a little more childlike.
So I shouldn't do my taxes with a Chewbacca mask on.
Well, he ended up taking it off. That was like a big thing, right? Because he ended up taking it off because it was in the way, right? And that might be there, and there might be a little symbolism there that acting this way was getting in the way of him being an adult, right? So he kind of took the mask off and put it to the side. And he's like,
I mean,
then he can continue doing what he was
could
doing.
have just went to HR block and left the mask on.
He's smart enough to do it himself. I can't even do my own taxes, for Christ's sake.
I just think that I'm surprised we didn't do this episode a lot sooner because it's what this podcast is really all about.
Yeah, I was surprised.
Dean and I going back and reminiscing about this stuff, and it really brings out some of the things that we forgot. Like as being kids, and it's just been a blast. So, even talking about this film, it's
this podcast is us being dinosaurs. This is how we
absolutely.
We're not right. This is what it is. Like this is
that's
us.
What it is.
Gerry, you said you can't believe that we are doing that. We wanted to do it.
I was surprised that this level of movie, which I love, was considered to be discussed because I mean, when you listen, we did
Anchorman.
A lot of our discussion is quoting stuff and laughing.
Yeah.
Because I mean, like we were teasing Eric before about you're much deeper than I did not look at anything of this film other than the pure sophomoric humor, which I revel in. I love it. I was watching it. My son came in and he was partway through it, and you just sit there, and like part of it is shock, but part of it is just like you're loving just how far they're pushing everything. Like he even said, because he's not a movie buffer, but he's like, "There's no way this was written." He's like, "This has to be a lot of improv," and it's like, well, yeah, because I can't imagine they wrote down, licks, white dog shit on the script, or whatever stuff like that. Like it all just comes out because you're given these two, well, I guess all of them, but you're like you film what's on the script, but then you're like, just go for it. And then
what else
when
can we do?
Play off each other,
we're here, and what else can we do?
Yeah, and there's no real limits. You do something that's too far, okay, that doesn't get in a movie, but you get a lot of things that you wouldn't write down. You wouldn't think of a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
But when you have people that are good at it, but this is not something I never would have thought this deeply about a movie of this level.
That's what we do. Well, because there are some of those overtones.
Look at some of the other movies that you've done, or even the movie like that. It was just, I was happy that you brought up Step Brothers, and not that I'm surprised that you guys liked it. I just didn't know it was something that we would have discussed.
Oh, absolutely.
I didn't, which is good because it does.
I think it's more. I think it's more culty. Like Step. I mean, they obviously made a second one. I didn't even see it. I didn't even bother because I don't think I need to. No.
I didn't know they made a second.
Yeah, they made a Step Brothers.
I didn't know they.
Wait, with both of them?
They did make a Step Brothers too.
With them?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Oh my God.
What the devil?
There's no way
now you're going to make me think Step Brothers 2.
That's like trying to catch lightning in a bottle. There's no way that, there's no reason for.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah. Step Brothers 2.
When did it come out?
Yeah.
On
a Thursday, and it was out on a Friday.
or am I just?
It's not coming up in IMDb.
Okay. Yeah, it is. Step Brothers. No, I guess not. I thought there was.
Huh. Dean smoking crack. Boats and hoes. So, huh? Boats and
Dean's
hoes.
hoping there's a Step Brothers.
Oh, yeah. February. Will Ferrell said in an interview with Rolling Stone that there are currently no plans for a sequel. Maybe I'm getting it confused with Anchorman because I didn't bother with Anchorman 2. I'm like,
Why would you?
You never saw Anchorman 2?
Nah, really? It was too far after. I'd kind of
He grew up. He put the dinosaur behind him.
I kind of left it behind. Like Anchorman is so special. Like usually sequels of this, it's kind of like Austin Powers, where it's more of the same. But Austin Powers was good.
He was going to go on and become a podcaster and come back to it one day.
But we were talking about it. You were laughing. I was bringing up scenes from Anchorman 2, and you were fucking laughing as if you'd seen it. Harrison Ford turning into a fucking werewolf. You know, like in the bigger fight. You know, Amy Poehler and they got more people and
they added, they expanded. You know,
they expanded it. But you were laughing. You were like as if you had seen it. Wow, I'm surprised. I'm shocked. I'm shocked.
It's like when he lied all those years about The Godfather. And he finally had to watch.
There you go. I was lying to myself.
Another great film is Grown Ups too. I don't know if you've
enjoy it. I like Grown Ups.
That
they made like 8 of those, right?
Yeah,
it was 2. Yeah, but
a whole bunch.
Both good.
I think Jerry mentioned the scene with the dog poop, right? I think that's a pretty important scene because it really showed that these guys were not like, as adults, not realizing that they could just beat those kids up, right? Although we do get that in the end. Did you guys stay for the end credit scene?
Yes.
When the helicopter lands at the playground and they just kick the shit out of each one.
Yeah, we said that at the beginning. I'm like, what does this say about us that we love watching kids get the shit beat out of them by adults?
They're doing like the flying kicks into the kids, like
almost like Matrix style, like kicking.
Devastating, but it's funny because I can remember that as a kid. Like if you knew there was like a bully or something up the street, it's like I'm gonna walk around I'm gonna go the other way. And Will Ferrell's like, it's 45 minutes. You just gotta. He's like, all right, well, if you want to, we're gonna go. You know.
But when they get home, they tell the story, and Alice is like, well, maybe check a different way home because we discussed it. We're gonna walk a different way home.
I mean the mother, not Alice.
Not Alice. I mean the mother. Mary Steen version.
And Will Ferrell's like, I got a stomach full of white dog shit.
What about? We didn't talk about when they come in and I forgot why they got mad at them, and they're watching.
They put their heads under the seesaw. They're like going up and down on their heads, like on the seesaw.
They're watching Shark Week, and then they punish them. They can't. It's like Shark Week, and it's like
Shark Week.
And Will Ferrell at some point is like, "What the fuck just happened?" and John C. Reilly's, what does he say? He goes, what is he says, "Fuck you." He goes, but he says to his father, he goes, I mean this or something. He goes, "Fuck you, Dad." There's something like that. It's Shark Week. How could you do this?
There is so much, like, it's almost like an embarrassment of riches. Like there are so many one-liners in this film that you have to go in with that mindset. Like the one that keeps coming back to me is when the first night when they're in bed, when they're going back and forth, and John C. Reilly's like, "My father and I are going to bang your mother."
We think your mom is hot, and we're going to bang her.
But there's that scene before that when John C. Reilly's like, yeah, it's like, what if your wife, what if she comes on to me and she's had the old bull and she wants the young calf? He's like, shut the fuck up.
No, but even before that, Dean, when he's like, we're men and we do this, and all the things he says, and
we've on
we've literally done none of those things.
Yeah, we've never done any of those.
We shit with the door open.
We go on riverboat gambling cruises. Like we have literally done none of those.
We can watch the video, and they're like, "Wait!" They think he's going to be happy when they destroy the boat, and he's like, "Wait, who's steering the boat?" As they're like doing the
shut up, Dad.
Well, he's like, "Wait, is that my boat?" And he puts his glasses on because he wasn't they put the video on, and the friends are like yeah, they're like loving it, like
they were actually pretty good. The rap was great. It was on point. It was
actually a good rap. Yeah,
it was a great rap. They were doing really great, and then the boat just crashes into the rocks
because no one was.
You see the one fly off the boat, like blurry, like they get tossed off the boat, like because it crashes. Oh, yeah. It's you need. You need good actors for this, right? You need like Richard Jenkins to be like the straight guy. What's that, Jerry?
When he's like, when I come, I blow a cord or whatever. And the mother's like, well, that's not appropriate.
Yeah, it's. I think in lesser hands with the same material, it could come off as raunchy or, mean spirited, right? But I think when you have the right mix of actors, right, with Richard Jenkins pretty much playing the straight guy to it, even though he's very much like in the I don't give a shit mode. You have well-defined characters, and then, like I said, Mary Steenburgen is caring as well, but she's more placating. So
Yeah.
you each man-child has a different type of parent, right? So it would have been if both parents were the same way, if they were both put upon or they both didn't give a shit, I don't think it would have worked. But having the mix of, you get to have two different types of personalities as parents, and you get to see the juxtaposition of how they deal with their sons, right? Mary Steenburgen is more like, oh, it's just it's just.
But you have a balance with them.
Yeah, and
well, that's what breaks them apart. Is Steenburgen wants to keep, babying them. Don't wake them.
Yeah, after the sleep.
And the father's like, I'm fucking waking them.
You should never wake a person that's sleepwalking. I don't care.
And then they throw them
it looked like a horror film because they were like sleepwalking and they like carried him off, like they literally carried him by his legs and his arms like into the room, and then they threw him down the steps. Oh, it's
they cut their throwing packages.
Oh, now he's got the Christmas. The Hulk fans are the best when they're like, ah!
I imagine they had the best time ever filming this movie.
I can't imagine that they were not. Same thing with Anchorman. That again, when you're good and you're given the liberty to work that kind of stuff, and you're with and a lot of improv is about trusting the other people too. You have to trust that they're on board with it, or they can handle the material. And that's what they said about John C. Reilly. Actually, they're like, he was really good at handling what was thrown his way.
He actually got story credit, Dean.
He got story credit, not screenplay, but the original story.
He got story credit.
But before this, he was widely known as a dramatic actor. I mean, before this was like Chicago, and but then once he hooks up with Will Ferrell, then they do Talladega Nights, and then he does Walk Hard. He's then John C. Reilly kind of went into this whole comedy arc.
Yeah,
where he went from like serious films. What's that?
I know him as Wreck-It Ralph.
Wreck-It Ralph.
What does that say about me?
That's for another podcast.
Yeah, like it's John C. Reilly. I know, like Boogie Nights. It was like, wow, like here here's an explosive performance. Gangs of New York. I mean, he was kind of doing these types of films. Then all of a sudden, he's playing the man-child. Dale Dobeck. So it's,
I first remember him in Talladega Nights. So I think I always thought of him as like a man-child.
I think I remember from Boogie Nights. My first, I think it was Boogie Nights.
He was in Boogie Nights. He was
in Paul Thomas Anderson. Yeah, he's like, people
do that movie Star Wars.
Yeah, people say look like Han Solo.
Kind of, he's very immature there too. I mean, he's
Rockwell. But he was actually in Paul Thomas Anderson's movie before that called Hard Eight.
Yeah,
and that was also with Philip Baker Hall was in it as well. I think Philip Seymour Hoffman was in it as well. So he was kind of in that indie thing. He was kind of becoming that kind of a character. But then, now he's known for this kind of, he's known for Wreck-It Ralph, and he's known for like Step Brothers now, then, Gangs of New York and some of he was in The Aviator, right? He was Noah.
Yes, he was. Yep.
I think he jumps around very well from drama and comedy. I think he does the transitions.
Yeah.
I mean, then Evie goes to a musical and proves that he can sing and that he could be a songman as well. With Mr. Cellophane and everything else.
Yeah, it's our second John C. Reilly film of the year.
He's actually, I think he's I enjoy him. He's a very talented actor. I read, and I don't know if it's true or not, but he was sadly kind of not he was the reason about the falling out between Adam McKay and Will Ferrell.
Oh, really?
Because Adam McKay cast Will Ferrell in something, but then changed his mind and gave the part to John C. Reilly, I read, and didn't tell Will Ferrell. And so like Will Ferrell found out like in a weird way, and it kind of, so they put out there in the news that it was like they were just, it was McKay wanted to do all this work, and Farrell, wasn't up for it or whatever it was. But I think it actually had something to do with John C. Reilly getting a part over Will Ferrell, which is like Danny Boyle, what he did to Ewan McGregor, if you recall. He gave a part, and it broke up their relationship. Jerry's like, I have no idea who you're talking about. Jerry's like, you just went over it. So I'll stop talking about Danny Boyle now. And
well, that's fine. Adam McKay reveals why he and Will Ferrell split. He actually did The Other Guys also with that was with Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg.
That was a funny movie,
right? And that was the one with Michael Keaton, right, Eric? When he was all his lines were TLC lyrics.
Yeah,
yeah.
Right? He works at the Bed Bath and Beyond. Like,
that was a good movie. I enjoyed that.
I'm a peacock. I need to fly.
Yeah, it was that HBO series Winning Time about the Lakers.
That's what it was. Yes, he gave it to John C. Reilly. It was supposed to go to Will Ferrell originally.
Yeah, because he didn't really look like the main character, so it looks like
I think they were starting to steer more towards some serious stuff too. There was.
Adam McKay went into a dramatic.
Well, McKay and Ferrell, they were the executive producers on Succession, on the show, so they were part of that creative team that
hopefully they can get back
that off the ground. I mean
I enjoy them as a team. I hope they can get back together. They're good.
Come on, they're adults. Grow up.
They gotta find their dinosaur again. They gotta get back to it, Jerry.
I mean, as we wrap up, did we do all of our favorite scenes already?
Yeah,
I mean, is there
entire
any point?
film.
We pretty much just did a whole episode about favorite scenes, which is fine because that's all this movie is. This movie is not
pretty much.
It's not a deep analysis, but it is a fun watch.
Well, it's an hour. It's like a perfect
hour and a half.
comedy.
I think, right?
It's an hour and a half of just, and every scene kind of. There's a linear, movement to it, but every scene just kind of is a new thing for them to play around. Like the whole scene when he thinks he killed him and he's trying to bury him in the backyard. That was just like I'm watching that again. I'm like,
this is a CSI episode.
Really, yeah, I'm like, this is really dark and weird because they go through this roller coaster of when they after they have the fight and they're sitting there and they're eating, they're like buddies. But then he goes, I still don't like you. It's like they can't figure it out. And then it's not until they punch Adam or they punch the brother when suddenly they're like, it's like a whole new world to me. Yeah. And then they go back to hating each other. And it was like when he's throwing the dirt on him and he goes, just let the dirt cover you.
Yeah, just let he's like, what are you doing?
And then he's like, I'm going to be exhausted tonight. I'm like, what is going on right now?
Yeah. He's like, why are you doing this? What are you doing this for? And he's like shoveling, and you get the viewpoint of the dirt falling on, like covering your vision, Like
it doesn't feel like an hour. It's like a perfect comedy. It just flows.
Yep.
There's no like redeeming lesson learned despite what it's just a funny movie. And it's perfect like that.
This film actually moves pretty quick because it has that energy of the improv that they're just moving from one situation to the other. They're giving you some laughs and then they're just moving on to the next, whatever the next situation is. You're at a dinner table, you're in bed, you're making bunk beds and the bed fell on him.
Blood everywhere. And it's like this little scratch.
Yeah.
Blood everywhere.
So like, you're getting almost like these vignettes, right, Eric, of just like they're just kind of seen. They're almost like little they're almost like little individual skits that are kind of strung together to form a narrative. Is really like you can watch. This is a movie that you can easily just watch scenes of, and you don't need to know anything else that happened before, and you don't need to know what happens after. You can watch the scene when they're getting the jobs, and you can just watch that and enjoy it. Just for a
this could be. You could argue this could be like a really just like an SNL skit.
Yeah,
like a
it's like a
reoccurring
idea.
SNL skit if they stitched it all together with a big budget, you know, and that's what it feels like, you know, because it's
It's
just
like
so each scene has its own life and energy to
it's
it.
like a Pulp
Yeah.
Fiction where it's different parts,
Yeah.
but there is something in the background that ties it all together that you don't need to know if you just walk in and see
Yeah.
something. But when you know the whole story, it does make it funnier knowing like the arc that they go through. But it's just so easy to watch. Like, I mean, I watched it, I don't know, like 3 times this weekend, and it just goes so fast. You don't realize, because I knew it would go fast. I knew there wasn't a lot to worry about. I didn't have to take notes. I could just remember. And there's so many like quotes and stuff that you just like the whole. Did we just become best friends? Yup. Is like one of my favorite things like I've ever seen, because it's just funny, and then it just moves, it changes, it goes on to something else.
And I think certain when you talk about comedy, certain types of comedy need a setup. Like if you ever watch Norm Macdonald, his jokes are all set up. Like he's got a 5-minute joke that's 4.5 minutes, 4 minutes and 59 seconds are set up, and 1 second is the punchline. Like that's the whole thing. This type of a movie, the comedy doesn't need a setup. You can drop yourself into these scenes and not need to know what was going on before, and just enjoy. You can enjoy the whole death scene, right? You can enjoy him, zombie attack. It's a zombie. Like each one of those can be kind of live, like Eric said, kind of like skits on their own individual. And they don't
you can figure it out.
I mean, if it's on, if it's on TV, you're good. And no matter what part of the movie you're watching, you're going to watch the rest of it. You're going to just sit there. And just, absolutely.
And it's really one. Like I said, you're either going to get it or you're not. So for those that don't get it, I'm sorry. It's
you
one
have
of those
issues.
Well, maybe we're the ones.
No, not us. This is a great movie.
We're all the dinosaurs. We're still dinosaurs.
We understand joy.
Actually, I have my night vision goggles in the back, so I'm gonna
put
those on.
I wish I had these when I was young, but you have them at 40 years old. Sadly, I had a Mountain Dew T-shirt, which I think Christy gave to me.
Oh, I did get your
Mountain Dew. Yes. So
why didn't you wear it?
I was like, I should, because I don't know where.
Well, I remember, Eric, you remember those Star Wars shirts with the post like that?
Yoda?
That was the post.
Suncoast.
Yeah.
We had them at Suncoast.
That was so that throughout the movie. Yeah, he wears that.
I know.
The whole movie. It's got to mean something.
It's Return of the Jedi of all, like not even the first Empire, And I do remember those T-shirts vividly. Yeah. And the Pablo Cruz.
He's got the Pablo Cruz jersey T-shirt on. Like this. Yeah. There's a lot there to chew on. We hope that. If you've never seen Step Brothers before, I guess we could now all be jealous of someone watching it for the first time. We have to say your mileage may vary though. But if you like that kind of stuff, if you're into the Mike Myers stuff, if you're into the Austin Powers, you're into the Adam Sandler stuff, and if you like this is like kind of Elf but dirtier. Yeah, it's like a dirty elf type thing, meaning it's the same type of man-child character, but they take the harnesses off on this. Everybody's cursing except for Mary Steenburgen, I think. But
it's Bad Santa versus Elf.
Yeah, Bad Santa. That's right. Billy Bob Thornton, which is another good one. We should do that for the holidays. But I think that's going to do it. I think we've had a whole episode of favorite scenes. So to go any further would kind of be redundant. I think we've hit them all, right, Eric? Is there anything we left on the table?
Yeah, I think it's just, it speaks for itself. This whole episode, I think we'll
just having a good time.
We just
improv. As long as the movie. So
almost, we're getting there without the deleted scenes.
I would have had Randy Jackson sign my samurai sword too.
That's all I had on. That's all I had with me.
I would have done the same exact thing.
Oh man, yeah, it's too much. So check it out. It's available on streaming, but curiously enough, it's on Hulu, which means it's also on Disney Plus. I accessed it through Disney Plus, oddly enough,
which bothered my son. He does not. He's like, "Why is this on Disney?"
Because of Wreck-It Ralph.
Yeah. There you go.
It's the John C. Reilly collection. Movie Nights is going to be on Disney Plus as well.
There you go.
Gangs in New York and Wreck-It Ralph too.
So that's going to do it for this episode. Hope you enjoyed it. Like I said, you can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. On your favorite podcast provider, you go ahead and hit the follow button or subscribe. Either way, that'll let you know when new episodes come out. And on our podcast providers, there should be a little thing that says text us or message us. So if you want to give us any feedback, you can do it that way, and it comes directly to us. It's pretty neat. You don't have to go anywhere else to get that done. So that's a neat feature that we have available as well. So I think that's going to do it for this episode. So Gerry Sullivan, thank you so much for joining us. An unexpected, you didn't expect Step Brothers would ever be on the docket, but it was, which means there is no bottom to the depths of our depravity. So, Caligula is next week.
Oh boy.
There you go.
And Christy Cuomo, thank you very much as always.
Thank you.
Huh?
Thank you for
Appreciate it.
letting me be in depravity with you.
Yeah, it's been a while. It's good to
Yeah,
have you
it has
back.
been a while.
Yep.
So, yep.
Yep. And Eric will be on his big comfy couch, and I will be on my green hard IKEA chair. We will be waiting here until the very next time we see you with another brand new episode. So for Gerry, for Christy, and for Eric, this has been Dean, asking you to please be kind and rewind.
You've been listening to the 3324 podcast with Dean Legiro and Eric Cooper. You can find us on your favorite podcast provider, so please like, subscribe, and rate to become a part of the 3324 family. Your feedback is important, so make sure to follow us on Instagram and Facebook at 3324 podcast and on Twitter at 3324p to join the conversation.